up your engine! Yes, the dogs are barking their approval. This is a 2007 Corolla customer just bought. Look at it. It looks like a new car. And there's a reason Toyota sold more than 45 million Corollas, because they can run forever. 14-year-old car. What does it look like? To me, it looks like a new car. Look at those alloy rims. They're still in excellent shape. You wouldn't think it's that old, would you? Now, yes, you're gonna pay a premium for one of these cars used, especially when it looks like this, because it's a Toyota Corolla and it can run forever. This particular one went for about $6,500. Try getting something that runs this good and is this shiny for $6,500. It's not that easy. As far as I'm concerned, it's got one of the best engines Toyota ever made. This has a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder engine. And guess what? My Matrix actually has the same exact engine. And my old Celica, it's got a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder engine. Toyota knows how to make 1.8 liter 4-cylinder engine. They always have and they probably always will. Now this Corolla being a 2007, in those days, if it would have had a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine, those are the notorious oil burners. That's what this 2007 Camry has, and it does burn quite a bit of oil. But not so with this thing. It doesn't burn any oil. And check it out, these are user-friendly. Look, what's this? It's an automatic transmission dipstick. They don't put them in anymore. Yeah, he changed his own filter and fluid. It's whistle clean now, and it's easy to do because it's got the pan you can drop, the bolts you can take out, and you can easily do it yourself. You don't need a pump. You just pour it back in the dipstick hole. But of course, the new ones don't have that. They say it's progress not having them. You know what Scotty says? Scotty says planned obsolescence. They say, oh, the new ones have a lifetime fluid. You never need to change it. Then ask them, what do you mean by lifetime? Well, it lasts the lifetime of the transmission. Well, how long do you guarantee the transmissions? Maybe they'll say 60,000 miles. Well, I don't want my transmission to go out after 60,000 miles and I have to pay for it. My old Celica behind that fence, 239,000 miles. I've changed the filter and fluid on the transmission. It still works perfectly fine. I like that kind of mileage in a car. And so does my customer with this Corolla that he just bought. A little bit of maintenance that you can do yourself. It's gonna last that long. On the engineers in there, lifetime this, lifetime that. Friction gets in from dirt. Eventually, things will wear out. Even if it's something as dumb as, oh, let's say the main oil seal on a transmission starts leaking. No big deal, cost you 20 bucks, right? Forget that one. You can either pull the engine or the transmission out to change the seal. It's gonna cost you a fortune. And fluid's in there long enough, it's gonna get dirty. Dirt is friction. The shaft's gonna spin, it's gonna eat holes in the seal, and then it will leak out because you didn't change the fluid. And just check out all the room. Tons of room for working. But of course, it is a Toyota Corolla, so odds are you aren't gonna spend too much time under here anyways. On this one you might say, nice shiny headlights, but check this out. This is the same year car here, and it's a Camry. See how faded away the plastic is? Now look at these, they're really shiny. Well, they are now, because when he bought it, they were all fogged up like that too. And he did a little research, had these put on, and they were retrofitted with HID headlamps, high intensity discharge. Now check it out. As you can see when you get close, these are very bright headlamps. Super bright. Look at the star action. Nice and bright, right? Well, there's one problem with HID. The way they get bright is they burn hot. When they first came out with HIDs, they put them in Mercedes, they said that at midnight, your headlights shine better than the midday sun at noon. So, they're hot. Well, as you can see here, this one actually started on fire. It's starting to melt parts here, but this part actually started on fire. So he has a lesson learned. They can't take the heat. Now, that's a perfect example of what's happened to modern technology too, though, because everyone's going away from HIDs. Because back in the day, decades ago, that was the technology for bright headlights. Today, LEDs have taken over by far. Because not only can you make LEDs whatever brightness you want, you can have them do all kinds of cool things. These are aftermarket LEDs, and watch what they can do. Try doing that with normal headlights. They're LEDs. They're nice and cold. They're not gonna melt anything. These babies have been in for like 4 or 5 years, and if I cleaned them, they'd look a lot better, but they haven't melted, they haven't warped, and they also haven't fogged up. A lot of the fogginess from heat, even the factory ones, which are halogen, they burn real hot. These LEDs are cool. They're not gonna melt anything, and you can buy whatever setup you want, but do of course check your local laws, because you don't want to get pulled over by the police because you got something that's too bright or whatever. But the cool things about these are, you saw, those are all the same bulbs. Just by turning the light switch on and off, it changes. So the first setting is real bright. All I gotta do is quick turn it off, turn it back on. It's on the second setting that isn't as bright. And say, officer, you must be mistaken. They're not that bright. So this is a lesson to be learned. Really don't mess around with those HIDs. That's old technology that didn't pan out anyway. And the LEDs, you can play with them to your heart's content. And if you just want stock, say you want them a little bit brighter, you can get different lamps. Even GE makes a brighter halogen that you could just replace your halogen bulbs with brighter ones if you wanted brighter ones. I mean, there's all kinds of things to do. But stay away from HID and plastic because they have a tendency of melting. This is the first one I ever saw catch on fire though. So let's take it for a ride. It's a classic economy car, but it still has very comfy seats. What, we're talking about something from 2007. Seats are still immaculate. I don't think anybody ever sat in the back seat. You bought it from an elderly couple, which is a great way to buy a used Toyota. And it's a Toyota, so turn the key, start right up. Sounds just like a Toyota Corolla. What a coincidence. And really, they do handle quite well. They have very good cornering characteristics. Being a smaller car, you know, they stop on a dime, you hit the brakes, they come to a halt. Now, they aren't race cars, but when you gotta take off, they make a decent sound. And they keep up with traffic, no problem whatsoever. While at the same time getting phenomenal gas mileage. It's got a decent idle. Yeah, they have a little shake to them as their small little engine, but hey, this isn't a Cadillac. And it doesn't break down like a modern Cadillac either. This baby's only got 104,000 miles on it, so it's really not even broken in. I've seen these things with 500,000 miles on them. For a small car, quite comfortable. They got a decent ride. I've driven long distance with Toyota Corolla with my wife and 2 sons when they were growing up. So when you think about it, they're basically a condensed version of the American covered wagon that populated the West. A little bit scaled down, but they can go anywhere, anytime. I would think nothing to get into this thing and driving to California in it. I know it'd make it. They're very comfortable. You get phenomenal gas mileage. You know, it doesn't matter that the thing is 14 years old. It's barely broken in. And if you follow me at all, you know I like the Japanese-made cars. Well, guess what? This one was made in Kentucky. Look at it. It still looks like a new car, runs like a new car. So, you know, Scotty may be wrong on that. This one doesn't seem any different than the stuff I had that was made in Japan. I mean, let's face it. Cars were really made for one purpose, to get you from here to there. If they can get you from here to there, never break down. It's got killer heat, warm me up. In the summer, it's got killer AC that'll cool you down. They get good gas mileage. They hardly ever break down. What's wrong with that in a car? And of course, buying them used, look at the money he saved. A brand new one is almost $21,000 with the fancy wheels like this one has. So he paid less than a third of that. I guarantee you that this has a lot more than 1/3 of its life left. It might have 3/4 of its life left. And you make out like a gangbuster then. Don't worry that, oh, I buy a used car, buy somebody else's problem. No, especially in this case. Bought it from an elderly couple. They owned it before him. Hey, you can't beat that. And there's plenty of them out there. After all, they did sell 45 million of them. So it's not like you have to search very far to find one. Just if you see a good one, don't poo-poo over $500 here, $1,000 there, because the next guy behind you is going to buy it and you're going to say, gee, maybe I should have bought that car. You can't go wrong buying one of these things, especially in shape like this. It's just like a perfect used car for somebody who wants nice transportation that always gets you where you're going and still looks decent. It's got nice alloy wheels on it. And of course, to top it all off, it's an older used car. Guess what else you save on? Insurance. Car insurance is dirt cheap on these things. My customer here, he pays $30 a month. So you can save a lot of money. Because even if you buy a new one, you're going to pay more insurance because, let's say the car's stolen. Then they got to pay $21,000 to Toyota to pay it off. So, you know, there's a big advantage to buying these things used. So now you know the truth that, hey, you might be looking at a 14-year-old Toyota, but it could be a fantastic deal and still look as good as this thing does. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.